We've been gearing up for Aligned 17, which is a virtual conference dedicated to sales and marketing alignment. It's happening May 22nd through the 26th, and we wanted to do something special for B2B Growth listeners. Leading up to the event, we'll be giving you early access to some of the Aligned 17 sessions. Today's episode is exactly that. So if you like today's interview, head over to aligned17.com and sign up to access every session of the event. We've got an incredible lineup of speakers, including Gary Vaynerchuk, Jill Conrath, Tony Hughes, Tucker Max, and Trish Bertuzzi, along with dozens of other B2B sales and marketing experts. So go to aligned17.com and sign up today.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm Jonathan Green.
And I'm James Carberry.
Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to Aligned 17. We are here today with Zak Pines. He's the VP of Marketing at Bedrock Data. Zak, how you doing today?
Doing great, James.
I'm really excited to chat with you today, Zak. We're going to be talking about building the right data foundation for true sales and marketing alignment. And so tell us about what you and your team are up to at Bedrock.
Well, this is a great passion to me, James. It's been probably 20 years working in and around the data foundationing for sales and marketing. It's also highly relevant to what Bedrock Data is doing today. Bedrock Data is connecting multiple sales and marketing systems for a customer to help them unify and align their data. So it's a topic that is one of great passion for me.
Love it. Love it. So when we were talking offline, Zak, you mentioned that one of the first things that we should cover when it comes to building the right data foundation is really making sure that you're clear on the definitions for your life cycle. But there are a lot of challenges that can come along when you start trying to do that. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, let me explain what I mean by life cycle. It's starting, and quite honestly, a great mechanism for this could be, a whiteboard session with sales and marketing leaders, sales and marketing operations, looking at, well, what is the life cycle when from your first engagement with a prospect, if they're on their website, when they become a lead, straight through to when they become a customer. Be clear on those definitions, those processes, and this can be multiple sessions, probably with some sort of mediation and moderation. Now, let me explain a few things that have kind of come about around this.
Uh-huh.
There's a big movement, and I'm sure several of the speakers today. The theme of account-based marketing, account-based selling. Well, one of the reasons that is such a strong movement is it's this very issue of being aligned on definitions. And accounts are one way to look at the world that is quite effective. For many of us, the definitions start with leads, and the idea of a marketing qualified lead is a definition that's, I think it's been under a lot of scrutiny and stress, and it's really fallen down for a lot of companies as they've tried to do that. And part of the reason for that is, the marketing qualified lead probably isn't good enough as the depth needed to align sales and marketing. You can't just say, all leads are marketing qualified leads, and that's the same thing. There's different types of qualified leads. And that's another area where definitions and process can fall down. So really got to get into the depth, got to answer questions like how are leads and accounts flowing through the organization, who's touching them when, what are those handoffs? And that becomes your process, that becomes the foundation for having quality data and reporting that sales and marketing leadership can align around.
No, that totally makes sense. Zak, as you guys have done that in your own organization, is this something that, you mentioned, a whiteboard session to kind of map all this out, but is this something that people should expect this process to take, not to just be done in one meeting, but kind of iterative over time? Or is it something that you can knock out in kind of a 2 to 3 hour block if you just sit down and make it happen?
It's going to depend on the size of company. If you're talking about, relatively small company, marketing leader, sales leader, I've seen that, I've seen those done quite quickly, including certainly how we run organization at Bedrock Data, where we have tight alignment. if you're a bigger company, if there's, SDR teams and if there's, different marketing groups that are, performing different functions, then, we could be talking about multiple sessions to kind of get everything documented, hash out some of the processes, but well worth it, worth it, because without that aligned blueprint of process, you're going to run into a lot of issues down the road with being aligned around how the process runs and what the data outputs are of that process.
Yeah.
So that certainly is step one.
Where does this process live so that both teams, is it just kind of in a shared folder somewhere? Is it in your CRM? Where is that document living?
I think it's a visual. It's something that should be, first of all, probably, front and center for sales leadership, marketing leadership. Actually, your question gets to another, best practice that I'm seeing, which is to have sales and marketing alignment. You need to have sales, marketing, and customer success alignment from an operational perspective. Sales ops, marketing ops, customer ops. For big companies, those groups, need to be aligned. And for smaller or mid-sized companies, a best practice that I'm recommending is make that team as small and as nimble and as agile as possible, and start with one. We're at Bedrock Data. We have one, phenomenal resource. He does all of our marketing ops, sales ops, customer ops, the team's work. He's the owner, and by definition, aligned on data, because you've got one person making those decisions. I've seen cases where larger companies, marketing and sales operations spend 90% of their time back and forth with each other, on data issues and questions and, on conflicts. And there's no way that that's efficient for a business.
Yeah.
So, make that function agile and nimble.
That makes sense. So Zach, the second thing we're going to talk about is around reporting. Talk to us about your thoughts on reporting and how this plays a part in alignment.
Well, I think once you have that process laid out in the definitions, then, another source of friction can be, well, where are we going to for data? That question has to be answered. You don't want to be in a situation where when you get together with your, revenue team to discuss, how things are doing, you don't want to be spending 95% of your time kind of arguing about the numbers. You want to have alignment on where you're turning to for that data. You want people prepared around that, in real time. And then you want to be problem solving and looking at how you make improvements. So you've got to be aligned on where you're going to for your data. Companies have multiple systems. Everybody's got at least a CRM and a marketing automation system involved here. And even if those systems are integrated and aligned, there still is questions around where are we turning to for data. I think what I'm seeing as the overall trend and best practice, CRM systems are great for high level, pipeline data, key marketing source data, looking at, your closed loop picture from that perspective. It's by definition, tightly ingrained into sales and pipeline data. Uh-huh. And that should give you, that's a starting point for your high level data. And then you also want to ensure the marketing team is empowered to use the marketing automation system for much more, drill down information, a day-to-day optimization of the website and marketing programs. And of course, you want to make sure that the marketing automation CRM systems are integrated so that the data between those systems is common and consistent.
Wonderful. All right. So you already touched on this last point, Zach, but I want to circle back to it because I know it's something that we definitely want to make sure that the folks understand. It's around, again, operations alignment. And so let's revisit that one more time and just make sure that we've covered everything that you wanted to make sure that the folks walk away from, because it is such an important piece to this. So talk to us more about operations alignment.
Yeah, just going to raise my hand and sort of recommend, consider that business operations function where you're building, a unified team where you're able to align on, key definitions and process, and that team is supporting decision making. By a sales marketing, by a revenue team leadership. Look to make that team as streamlined as possible. And if you're building it from scratch, or if you're a startup or growth business, look to do that from day one. I would say once you have that process defined, your operational functions to support that process, and start with a single resource from marketing to sales, straight through to customer success, customer operations, unified biz ops team.
Yep. I was interviewing Gary Vaynerchuk yesterday, and he said in his interview, when I asked him how his sales and marketing teams align and really collaborate to win these massive accounts that he's won, he kind of laughed and he said, well, it's because I am the sales and marketing team. And so I'm obviously aligned because it's myself. And so I think that illustrates what you're saying here, in the context of, having that operational role be one person, because if they can swing it, if you're a nimble enough organization to where that person can handle those responsibilities, why not make it one person? Because I would argue that the deal sizes that Gary Vaynerchuk is closing in and of himself, are significant. And so, really consider making that operations role a single resource, at least to get started, because there's so much truth in that. The alignment that comes with it is a no-brainer because it's one human. So, I love that you mentioned that.
And these things, go hand in hand. So, and then it's, by having an aligned leadership team, well, you're not putting as much, conflict resolution or sort of investigation on that operational resource by having integrated systems, by having defined processes. So you can do a lot as a sales and marketing leader to help make that operational role be that much more efficient. So the two are interrelated. They go hand in hand. They're part of what I would see as a best-in-class, revenue organization here, today in 2017.
Yep. I love it. Zach, this has been fantastic. If there's somebody who wants to stay connected with you or they want to learn more about Bedrock Data, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
James, thanks for asking. Bedrock Data, bedrockdata.com. Check out what Bedrock Data does to help you connect your sales, marketing, and operational systems. And we do that for business users. It's not an IT approach like other integration platforms. Me personally, I'm the Moneyball Marketer, so you can check me out on moneyballmarketer.com. Got a blog there on various alignment topics, as well as Moneyball MKTR on Twitter.
Love it. Awesome, Zach. Well, thank you so much for your time today, man. This has been incredible.
Thanks for including me, James. Great topic, and happy to be part of it.
To ensure that you never miss an episode of the B2B Growth Show, subscribe to the show on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. This guarantees that every episode will get delivered directly to your device.
If you or someone you know would be an incredible guest for the B2B Growth Show, email me at jonathan@sweetfishmedia.com. Let us know. We love connecting with B2B executives, and we love sharing their wisdom and perspective with our audience.
Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.